Wait, stop scrolling. You're going to want to stick around because in just a minute, we're going to tell you about all the fun things that you can do here in Southern Maryland and introduce you to a lady who took a very popular movie and put it live on stage.
Stay tuned. Hi, and welcome to the Arts Fam Podcast.
The only show of its kind that spotlights the arts and entertainment scene in Southern Maryland.
We're your hosts, Lindsay Pomerank and James Lepore.
Lindsay, for people who aren't familiar with us, why don't you tell them a little about yourself?
Absolutely. So I've been reviewing theater locally for online publications for about the last 4 years or so. What about you, James?
I was walking by and I needed to use the bathroom and I asked if I could come in and here I am. No, actually, people may remember me as the former host on Metrocast Channel 10's show called The Buzz. I'm an actor at the Newtown Players and I'm a real estate agent.
I love that self-promo. So every week, what you can expect from this show is a whole long list of all the fun things you can do this weekend in Southern Maryland. As we always say, James.
There's more to do here in Southern Maryland than you have time to do.
Oh my God, I know that's right. Plus, we'll have a special guest every week that's part of something that you can enjoy this weekend. Without further ado, let's get started with these fun things to do this weekend.
Okie doke. Ladies first.
Of course, thank you. First, at Port Tobacco Players, we have the 75th anniversary evening of song. Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that look. So it's in La Plata.
Uh-huh.
And it's show tunes and holiday classics.
Get your tickets. Go see this. Everybody on stage, top notch.
And that's this weekend and next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay.
Now, speaking of theater,
Okay.
on December 11th, the Newtown Players at the Three Notch Theater in Lexington Park are having auditions for Robin Hood.
Oh.
It sounds like a great show. Now, for all you people who think, I'd like to be on the stage, I think, you know what? Don't be shy. Come down to auditions. There's lots of people like you with no experience. There's people with a lot of experience. And if you find out that acting on stage is not your cup of tea, there's still plenty to do behind the scenes. And as an all-volunteer thing, the theater would be more than happy to have you.
Yeah. Next in the theater community, we have Steel Magnolias at the Newtown Players. That's in Lexington Park. Actually, the same place where the auditions are. Spoiler alert, our guest today might have something to do with that.
Might.
And that's going to be this weekend and all the way through December 17th.
Very cool. December 9th, the movies. I love the movies.
Oh, I do too.
Get those nice chairs and relax. Okay, how nice is this? RC Theaters in California, Maryland, right? They're having a free showing of Elf and the Polar Express.
Oh.
And they're starting seating at 10 a.m. and they're staggering the seating every 5 minutes. So, because it's, multiple theaters, they want to fill them up. It does say tickets now on sale or tickets at the box office, which makes me infer that you need to have a reservation.
Just like a capacity
for it.
thing, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, 2 free movies. Take the kids on a Saturday morning to do something.
Can't beat it.
Amen.
Can't beat it. All right, next we got the Kris Kringle Market, which, oh my gosh, this is one of my most favorite things every year. It's at the Charles County Fairgrounds. It's December 8th, 9th, and 10th. Every night they got something new. Santa arrives on a fire truck the first night. Yeah. You got fireworks one night. Like, I'm serious, guys. You gotta go. Just don't even think about it. Go. That's awesome.
Okay. December 9th in Solomons. They have their own Christmas walk. It starts at the Calvert Marine Museum. And while they're walking along the water, there is a lighted boat parade.
What?
I kid you not. It's stunning to see.
Oh my God.
Plus, Solomon's itself is lavishly decorated for the holidays. I mean,
love that.
It is a great place. If you can't get in the Christmas spirit going down to this, then
you're
I don't know what to say.
Grinch, which leads me into our next one. On December 10th at the Capitol Clubhouse in Bryantown, there's an ice skate with the Grinch. And okay, look, I have 3 kids, and they like Santa and Ms. Claus, but like the Grinch is the MVP in our house.
Wow.
So if your kids are like mine, take them there.
I'm gonna ice skate, Mr. Grinch.
Oh my
Sorry.
God.
December 8th, Holly Jolly Lights in Charlotte Hall. Now, let me tell you what this is. When I was a kid growing up,
Mm-hmm.
this was a big thing for my mom. She loved to
Mm.
drive. My dad would get the family in the car,
Yeah.
drive around the streets, and that was called "Let's Go Look at the Pretty Lights." And
Oh.
it was a big thing. So Charlotte Hall, very reminiscent of that. Charlotte Hall is having a drive around and looking at houses that are competing
Oh.
for best decorated.
Little
So this
friendly
isn't going to be like,
competition.
3 lights on the railing.
Oh,
No,
no.
they're going to be done up and it's going to
Oh.
be a sight to see.
I-
They're going to announce a winner on December 28th. So,
Ooh, okay. Next, in Great Mills, we have the Flatiron Christmas. And that is free admission. It begins December 8th through 9th, but it goes all the way through Christmas.
you know what they have there?
Oh my goodness, what?
Animals.
Oh,
Mostly horses, but
is this the zebra? Is this the zebra you told me about?
last I heard, they still have the zebra. You
Oh
can
my
go up. I don't know if they're quite as friendly as
A
the horses.
zebra.
So you may not want the kids to just go ahead and stick their hands in the zebra's mouth. But where else can you see a zebra?
It's a zebra!
Cereal. Okay, now, this is a strange one. I'm going to catch you off guard with this,
Okay.
right? December 9th, they are having Scuba and Santa. Okay,
What?
two things you wouldn't think that would go together, scuba and Santa. But here's what they do. You go down to the Wellness and Aquatics Center, which is at the campus of CSM in Leonardtown. And it's a beautiful pool. It's really nice. And it says each participant will go through a short Discover Scuba course to learn the scuba diving basics. And then, drum roll please, a picture will be taken with Santa underwater.
What?
I kid you not.
Ah! Oh my gosh.
You gonna do it?
I just might. Like,
Okay.
that sounds like everything.
That's certainly different. What do you got?
And then finally, on my end of things, on December 12th, we have the town of Leonardtown Tuesday meet and greet with Santa. And it says there are meet and greets available for families with loved ones that have disabilities, or if you're celebrating your baby's first Christmas,
Oh,
which,
cute.
you know, I am with my little baby daughter, so might have to go by there.
You're going to hear a lot of events going on as we do this every week. A lot of events going on in Leonardtown. It's a happening place. A few years ago, it was named an official arts and education district for the United States.
What?
Oh, no, this is big stuff.
Oh my goodness.
So don't be surprised when there's a lot of stuff going on in Leonardtown, such as the Port of Leonardtown Winery. I mean,
You know
they
I-
make wine.
I
It's
li-
the
I like-
coolest
I like
thing.
wine.
Lauren Zimmerman is the winemaker, and she is so friendly and
Okay.
will actually talk your ear off about how wine is made.
Oh
And
my
I, for
goodness.
one, love it. And
Love that.
hint, like to get Lauren down here as a special guest, talk about the Port of Leonardtown Winery, and maybe give us a few glasses of wine. I meant to say, give us a little insight into the winemaking biz. But they have events there, which of course are paired with wine tastings.
Mhm.
It's December 10th at 6 p.m. They have a holiday cookie show. Okay,
Oh.
and this involves making fancy holiday cookies, and you get all the supplies and everything you need,
Ooh.
all the sprinkles and all that,
Love that.
and you get a glass of wine, and there's door prizes.
Ooh, I love
Now,
door
it's not
prizes.
free. Tickets are $45, but hey, this is a class
For a
place.
nice evening.
Yeah,
That's
oh, yeah.
really not unreasonable.
No, you're having some wine, you're making cookies, you got stuff to bring home with you.
It sounds
It's
great.
really great.
So next up, we have our special guest, director Stacey Park, who directed the latest production at the Newtown Players, Steel Magnolias.
Now, spoiler, Lindsay and I got to see it on press night, and it was great.
Oh my gosh, it was. Like, I know you were crying, and we were laughing, and it was everything.
And you know what? If you love the movie, you're going to love this stage performance. And if you don't love the movie, come and see it live on stage anyway,
different.
because you feel emotions when you're in the room with
Yes.
these people more than you can watching them on a screen.
All right, we'll be right back. Hi, and welcome back. We are here with our special guest of this week, Miss Stacey Park, the director of the newest production of the Newtown Players of Steel Magnolias.
The audience may not all be familiar, even though it's a famous movie, may not all be familiar with the story. Do you have a little, in a nutshell, kind of story?
There's no spoilers. What do you want?
No spoilers.
Okay.
No spoilers. Okay, so don't tell you what Sam Dawson.
Oh, you want
found.
spoilers?
I don't
Lindsay
know.
wants spoilers.
Here's the thing, the questions are so specific that we wrote. And so I'm like, if we do it spoiler free, then I don't even know how we can ask.
If you want no spoilers, skip over the next
Yes,
30 seconds.
exactly.
This is set in the 80s. It is a group of women. They are found family, all generations. We've got everybody from 19 years old all the way up to 66. In the cast, it's centered around a beauty salon and just the business that happens in the salon. As the scene opens, Shelby is getting ready to get married. Over the course of the next 2 years is approximately the amount of time that we're spanning here. We see her get married, have a baby, have some health issues, complications from being a diabetic. It follows the lives of these women over the course of about 2 years, and their joys and triumphs and their sorrows and how they help each other get through it.
Oh, and talk about totally different personalities.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're so unique. They just stand out from each other. And, you know, sometimes when you see a play, the characters can blur together.
Yeah.
Not the case.
No,
not the case.
Intentionally not the case.
Yeah.
A great cast that you assembled.
I always have to do them in the order in which they appear to make sure that I get everybody.
Sure.
Truvi is played by Noreen Rahimtullah. She is brand spanking new. She was in the county for 3 days before she showed up. The next person on the stage is Anel. That's played by Allie Latham. So she has done a couple of Shakespeare productions down at Shakespeare in the City. This is her first appearance on our main stage.
That's where
Winter's Tale.
seen
She
her.
played
Yes.
Perdita, right? Yeah. Oh,
Good
I
memory.
loved her in that.
And then the third person to arrive is Clary Belcher. That is played by Rachel Fusco. She's mostly done comedic roles for us or backstage work. This is her first truly dramatic role, and she's killing it.
Yeah.
And then the next person on stage is Shelby Eatonton, soon to be Latchery, and that's played by Sarah Pollard. You know Sarah. And then the next person to arrive would be Shelby's mother, Malin. That's played by another newcomer to our stage, Ashley Pastorek. This is her first time with us. She's acted before, like high school, early 20s, but she hasn't been on stage since then.
You wouldn't know it.
What?
I know.
That's crazy.
Incredibly talented human beings.
Oh my goodness.
I'm more stunned about the 3 days in the county, and then what are you, like, scoping out people at the airport saying?
What is there to do here?
Oh no.
Don't forget Allison Dodges playing Weezer.
And you've certainly directed a wide variety of types of shows.
Yeah.
You know, from children's shows to adult shows and comedies, dramas. I would say this is definitely a drama, but it does have some comedic elements. Now,
It's a dramedy.
what drew you to this? I mean, were you waiting for a show to direct, or did you go in and say, I want to direct Steel Magnolias?
The show that I had put in for was not selected, so I was not planning on directing this season at all. The reason I'm directing Steel Magnolias is because, as it turned out, someone had to step away from their role as director, and that has also happened a number of times. We're all volunteers. We've got lives outside of the theater, and for whatever reason, they were not able to continue as director, and so they were looking for somebody to fill the slot. That's how I ended up directing. I had exactly 1 month's notice before auditions.
What was your directorial vision for this show? What specific creative choices did you make to set this apart from just any other production of Steel Magnolias?
Thank you for asking that thought-provoking question. After reading the script 4 times in the course of 2 days, I had seen the original production of Steel Magnolias 11 years ago. I knew I absolutely did not want to just rehash it.
Yeah.
But more than anything, I was getting 80s sitcom vibes out of this show. That was how I was channeling Golden Girls.
Yes.
I'm getting like Family Ties.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
If you really think about 80s sitcoms, they're all on a unit set. There's none of this, we go to the coffee shop, we end up in the park. It's always somebody's living room or somebody's place of business. I think the thing that I'm most proud of is creating that play space.
Yeah.
And so, again, if you think about the shows that you've seen on stage, Lindsay can play on this one. And it's a unit set. You see the back wall. You got the angled walls. You got a couple of doors.
Yep.
But it's really like this trapezoidal space. For this one, what I wanted to do was a square.
Yeah.
So that's why you see that point at the back. It comes to a point intentionally, and I actually intentionally moved it off center so that you'd be getting a rectangle because it's a carport. And then with the bright lights and the shiny happy background with the blue cyc and everything, it really kind of gives you that 80s sitcom vibe.
Absolutely.
You're really feeling it. The sound designer created just a beautiful soundscape of all of this 80s music that kind of plays in the background the whole time.
I left that show 2 nights ago thinking one thing, and it has bearing on the set, but I think the thing that I was most impressed about was your blocking. Now, for people who aren't theater people, blocking is the movements that the actors make, where they go, what do they pick up, who looks at who, and that all comes from the director. And a lot of times shows will line up all the people in a row, which is great if you're doing a chorus line. But I have to commend you on the blocking of this show, because not only was everybody nicely spaced out to use all the space, but when they moved with a genuine purpose. Maybe this one moves over here, but she's picking up a can of hairspray or whatever. I really thought, this is really real beauty salon. That's a tribute to the set, the lighting, and your blocking. Amazing.
Yeah, I gotta give kudos to Gail Nevis, my set designer, who took my vision and turned it into a reality. Dawn Weber, who dressed the set beautifully. All I gave her was a roll of wallpaper and said, I want to use this. And she did the rest of it. Melissa Emmerich lighting that thing to within an inch of its life, and Stephanie Bates, who sound designed for us. So, and Stephanie just walked in off the street.
I will say, just like James was saying, it felt like I was in an actual salon. Like, it didn't feel like a set or like a piece of a beauty salon. It was the whole thing. Or even the way you had the light outside the window that said Truvy.
Oh, that was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, it was just thoughtful from start to finish.
And the actresses, I really felt myself getting involved in their lives as individual people. So again, it came off as being very real, which I suppose when Sarah dies, which is why everybody in the place is crying, because it's like somebody you've just gotten to know for 2 hours. So really amazing job.
Now, I'm very careful when I'm working with my set designers to make sure that the scene doesn't stop where the wall stops.
Yeah.
There's an interior scene and there's an exterior scene.
You did. An all-female crew.
I mean, what was that like, being in a completely feminine space?
It was a real realization for me of what women in leadership roles are going through.
Yes.
It was wonderful working with all of these women. I was delighted to be able to fully staff our show with all of our designers, all of our crew, our run crew, our booth crew.
Yeah.
Everyone is women. But over and over again, I was watching them second guess themselves.
Yeah.
So much imposter syndrome going on.
Yes, my goodness,
Ladies, you are talented.
Yes.
You deserve all of the recognition.
Absolutely.
Just over and over again, worried about not doing it right, or they didn't deserve to have the role, or whatever it was. Almost every single one of them coming up and saying at some point or another, I'm not sure that I really deserve this, but
wow, that makes me sad. I'm a diehard feminist, but
I know
it makes me sad that women would think that.
It's completely understandable, but it was interesting to hear it vocalized so
often.
And it was also really wonderful for me to be able to give them the confidence to work in that space and to say, I chose you for a reason.
Yeah.
And you're killing it. You're giving me exactly what I wanted. And I think, having seen the show, you can agree, they killed it.
100%.
Yeah.
Was there a particular emotional moment that was harder to direct than others?
Rachel actually approached me on one of our set build days and said, all right, I don't quite understand what the emotion is that I'm trying to portray when Clary is getting angry at Malin for not telling her about the kidney transplant. Because the lines are written very angry the whole way. And she said, I don't feel like that's me. I said, no, you're right. It's not.
No.
The Clary that you're portraying is a mother to Malin. She sees her as like a second child. We really had to think through, how does a mother feel when her child has withheld important and life-threatening information, and what is it that you're working through? I think every single person in this cast has come to me separately as an aside in an email or pulled me aside at rehearsal and said, what am I thinking.
Yeah.
They're very introspective, this cast, and they ask a lot of questions, Noreen.
But it shows. It shows in the complexity of the performance, and it's not one note.
No,
And,
they
that's all
worked
you got.
really hard to find the backstory and the character and the feeling and the emotion behind what it is. And I think seeing that scene with the kidney transplant, I think what Rachel has come up with in that scene is absolutely exactly right for her character.
So I've seen Rachel in quite a few productions over the years at Newtown. She was my favorite actress in this entire production. And it's not that I didn't enjoy her in the other ones, but this, she was unrecognizable. I mean, she walked on the stage, the way she spoke, the way she moved, the way she held herself. She was reborn.
Yeah.
So kudos to you for
I had
casting
very
her.
little to do with it.
No, but you cast her, you guided her, for you to be able to see her during the casting process and not, like, you never saw her do this before.
No.
And to go, you know what? I'm going to give her a chance.
Yeah.
What went into all of that?
So, knowing Rachel, I've worked with her a couple of times before. I know how lighthearted and fun and goofy, and she does comedy really well. I expected her to come in and say, I want to be Weezer, right? And I was truly expecting her to excel at Weezer. And the first time she sat down and delivered the lines for Clary, it was obvious she wasn't Weezer.
Yeah.
Absolutely obvious. But then we pair her with a couple of different people. She's equally good with all of them, right? And I'm thinking, there's a sensitivity to her that we haven't had a chance to see before.
Yeah.
And it was abundantly obvious from the first time she sat down to do the role. She earned it in her own right. Fun fact, when we called her to deliver the news and offer her the role, she immediately started crying.
Oh,
Oh.
I love that.
Sorry, Rachel, I'm telling your secrets. But it's because she loves this movie. She could quote the entire movie easily.
Oh, wow.
Easily. Like
super
she
fan.
is a super fan of
Wow.
this and really didn't think that she stood a chance getting into the cast. But again, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
You are amazing, Rachel.
Absolutely. Oh
Own
my
it.
God, yes.
But yeah, it was definitely evident from the very first moment that we saw her that she was never going to be a comedy character. She was going to be Clary.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's time for a levity break.
Okay.
Before we get too serious.
Okay.
Do you have any funny stories from auditions or rehearsals?
I think the one that stands out the most, when we put out the rehearsal schedule, we ended up rehearsing on Halloween. I said, don't worry guys, I'll let you wear your Halloween costumes to rehearsal. The day that they came in their Halloween costumes, we were rehearsing the final scene with
my goodness.
Yeah, with
the whole
Malin's
monologue.
monologue.
Whoa.
The Malinologue, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even do this about Malin. Yeah.
So they were in their Halloween costumes rehearsing. I've got some great pictures of them. So I've got Malin as Hamburglar, just pouring out her soul to Clary, who's dressed as a priest, and Weezer, who's dressed as a nun, while Truvy the trucker is hovering over her shoulder, and it's fantastic. It's just fantastic. You have to have moments like that. You have to play a little bit with the cast. It can't be all business, or you get bogged down in the emotion of it all, right? So I think that gave them an opportunity in that scene to just kind of...
That sounds so fun.
So let's circle back then to Malin, because you mentioned her, the Malin monologue.
The Malinologue.
The Malinologue.
The Malinologue.
As it shall evermore be known.
It was very different than I've ever seen it performed before.
Okay.
She was very authentic, and you could tell she wasn't just making herself stage cry, and she wasn't just feeling one emotion. She went on this journey, right?
Yeah.
And she was having trouble putting words together. You could tell the actress, her voice was struggling to stay level. What was it like directing that?
So I will give you a little insight into my directing style, and then we'll go into what we did with that monologue. I like to let the actors play a little bit first. So I'm not going to tell you up front how I want you to do the scene. I'm going to watch the scene and see what you've done with it, and then we'll tweak it as we need to.
Yeah.
I might tell you where to go.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let you get there on your own, and then if you need help getting there, we'll get there. So we let Malin play a little bit, and she really had the emotion down pretty early. She's been crying for months now. Emotion is easy for us. We're women. But what I was noticing was that she was separating herself from the rest of the group, and she was really diving deep into this dark hole. We sat down and we actually went line by line. I said, so here's what we need to do. We need to take the audience on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
We need to do a push and a pull. We need to get them in and out of this emotion, because it's not fair to anyone for us to all just be sobbing in our seats.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we went line by line. I said, you are just, in this first line, you're just giving the facts. You are telling the story. You have told yourself you're okay with it. You're telling the story. And then it's starting to get a little emotional here, and you're starting to drift off. So you're going to tell a joke, right? You're going to say, we're doing our Jane Fonda. So you're going to look back at your friends for emotional support. You're going to tell them a joke so that you can smile, and that pulls you back out of it just enough to not cry. So then, you know, you start talking a little bit more. It starts getting too much to look at your friends. So you're going to have to drift away a little bit. And then you're going to get really introspective. And then it's too much again, and so you're going to look back for support. So we literally choreographed it line by line.
Wow.
What she's doing. So while it might look completely unrehearsed, it is truly a dance sequence that she's doing. The other were wanting to make I'm feeling emotional about this, and I said, no, stand perfectly still.
Yeah.
You just laser focus on the Lynn and let her do the heavy lifting in this scene, because that's where the focus has to be. And they're just all over there bawling their eyes out.
Oh yeah.
Clary's pulling an entire box of tissues out of her pocket. She's got enough for everyone.
I kind of want to stay with this theme about how it was to direct specific moments. So Sarah, her character Shelby, that moment where she has the diabetic episode. In the past, I have seen it over-exaggerated to the point where, as somebody with an autoimmune disorder, I'm not diabetic, but I have a different disorder, it came off as very disrespectful in a lot of productions. Honestly, even in the movie, I'm sitting there going, that's not reality. And I feel like somebody's mocking the reality of what that's actually like. And the way that you did it with Sarah, it was exactly what it would be like. I've seen somebody go into an episode like that. And it was, I have chills just talking about how real it was and how respectfully done it was.
Thank you.
So what was that like? What went into it?
We have an inside track. One of our actors wears an insulin pump.
Okay.
She takes it off when she's on stage. So it's in the green room going off like crazy the entire time we're on stage, because it's not connected to her anymore. I let Sarah kind of investigate what she wanted to do, and I think she was trying really hard to mimic what was going on in the movie, using that as her only point of reference.
Yeah.
And I looked at her and said, I don't need you to mess up your hair. Truvy's having a hard enough time getting your hair done once. We don't need to do it twice.
Yeah.
And I looked over at Ashley and I said, can you just explain what's going on? Just tell us what happens. Yeah. How is she feeling? Why is it painful? Why doesn't she like to be touched? Is it painful? Is she too hot? She's too cold? She just doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And she took about 15 minutes to just describe what happens in the body and how she recognizes that it's happening and whether or not she recognizes that. Sarah really took that and ran with it. I think she may have gone back for additional notes a couple of times, but we had an inside track.
And hats off to Sarah too, who can actually pick up on a real situation and then recreate it in terms of the story.
And it was so subtle. I could tell the moment it started, just the smallest change in her face. Yeah. And then, I mean, it was,
She's a great actress.
Great.
I mean,
she is great.
So you had some
absolutely great
dynamite people on that stage.
Thank you.
Yep.
So we got very lucky.
And also, I don't want people to think that I don't want to go to that because I don't want to just sit around and cry. No, there's ups and downs. There's laughs. It's just
I mean, the amount of laughter in that theater. We had seen Magnolias a long time ago, and there was not that much laughter in that theater.
No, there wasn't.
So the amount of laughter. And I was laughing along. So I was like, it's not just people being nice, because I don't laugh to be nice. Like I only laugh if you make me laugh. It was just the way they were hitting certain lines that I was like, I've never laughed at this line before.
There were a lot of laughs. I was stunned. I didn't know this to be a funny show.
It is a funny show.
Is that you? Did you teach them to bring out the comedy, or
No, they're talented. They are talented in their own right. But each of them finds something different funny. right?
Right.
Mhm.
So some people will find this line funny, some people will find that line funny. Rachel is a good idea fairy. And so she is constantly like, I think if I did this thing, it would be really funny. And she's right, it is.
Yeah, she has some facial expressions.
Yes.
There was one, I can't remember specifically what it was, but it knocked me out. I was dying. I was like,
Yes, she's fantastic. Allie is another one. She's great with the physical humor. I wanted that bead curtain to go into the house.
so good.
She has loved getting herself caught in that curtain. She has found a million ways to get caught. They're really good with the physical comedy as well as the emotional stuff. So they have a broad range.
You're laughing. You're crying.
Yeah.
It's at the end of the show. I felt like exhausted, but I also felt like I'm exhausted. But I just spent 2.5 hours with some ladies I know. They didn't seem like just actors on stage.
No.
They definitely had the ability, more so than any other production of this that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They had the ability to bring you into the beauty shop.
How did you facilitate that camaraderie and that, like, they've known each other forever?
Yeah.
Like, where did that come from?
This is one that I can't completely take credit for. First of all, we had an arduous audition process. So almost 60 women who showed up for the initial round of auditions. Yeah.
60. Oh,
almost. Not
well,
quite, but
still,
almost.
but oh my gosh.
Yeah. Closer to 60 than 50.
That's
Okay.
crazy.
Okay, you each get 1 minute
that's
to
insane.
audition.
Whittling that down to 25, which is still a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
To narrow down to just 6. But we had about 25 at our callback and just pairing them up. Painstakingly pairing them up, and how does these two work out together? How do those two work out together? And then giving them the opportunity to ask as well, which I always do at auditions. I'll say, I think I've done everything that I can do. Does anybody want to read again? Does anybody want to read with someone specific? Go through all of those and give them the opportunity, and then just play Tetris with the picture cards until we have the right combination. So that was a good baseline. We were 50% there when we finished auditions. I already knew they were going to blend. And I already knew that they reacted to each other well. And then they took it upon themselves to have a slumber party.
Shut up! Are you serious?
They planned icebreakers. They brought food. They roasted s'mores. They had a great time. And we made all of the handicrafts that you saw on stage.
Oh, that's so fun!
Yeah, so we had a couple of opportunities where we weren't our characters. We were just us bonding.
Yeah.
We were actually on Sunday doing a Secret Santa.
Oh.
So we'll toast our opening weekend and have a Secret Santa and.
That's so great.
Getting to know each other that way. But yeah, they've done a lot of talking to each other offline. Like group chat, man. That group chat.
This is blowing up.
It's blowing up. It's probably still blowing up. They're still giving me good ideas for today. They've blended really well.
Yeah.
Naturally.
And
it's
shows.
really been natural.
Yeah. Wow.
And they were all experienced. I want people to know too, even if, and I mean this sincerely, even if you don't like the movie, because honestly, I don't like the movie.
That's fine.
But
that's not my
This
favorite.
is what I did is not the
No,
movie.
it's not. Seeing this live, getting involved over 2.5 hours in people's lives like this, it's an experience, and I certainly urge everyone to go see this. How many chances do they have to see this now?
Let's see. We've done 2 shows, so we now have 10 more opportunities for you to come and see the show.
Okay, the last show is
December 17th.
Yep.
Okay, and that's 8 o'clock every night except for Sunday's a matinee. Sunday is a matinee
at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
That's a time change this year.
And tickets you can get from newtownplayers.org, right?
And I understand that you have brought us some tickets to give away to our lovely viewers.
Tell you what, you folks out there in watching our show land.
Podcast land.
Podcast land, right. Send us an email to james@theartsfam.com or lindsay@theartsfam.com, or comment on this video or use our social media. We will pick one winner at the end of the week. And maybe we'll let one of Lindsay's kids, pick.
It'll be
pick one out.
adorable.
But Stacey has graciously provided us with 2 free tickets. Well, there's only one thing better than an amazing show like this, and that's 2 free tickets to see an
An
amazing.
amazing show.
People should arrive, about 7 o'clock, right?
So the doors open at 7.
I don't often say this to directors, but thank you. Thank you for
Oh,
giving this to the theater goers of.
Yeah,
it's my pleasure.
truly.
It has been such a joy to work with these women, both the cast and the crew,
Mhm.
and to get to see them all become the best version of themselves
Yeah.
over the course of the last couple months.
Can't wait to see what you direct next, and hopefully I'm in it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
And
I've
thanks for the
enjoyed
free
it.
tickets for some
Yes.
lucky viewer.
Thanks for featuring us, and I'm excited to be a part of the beginning of a new fun relationship.
Absolutely.
Thanks again. Okay, so stay tuned.
Welcome back. That was such an amazing interview with Stacey
I-
Park.
I feel like she's a really smart woman and
Yes.
great director, and I hope that the viewers learned a lot about the process that goes into, directing a show isn't just, okay, say this. I mean, there's a lot to it, and she is very good at it.
Yeah.
Go see that show.
And I just loved how supportive she was of women too.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone that she worked with, and it was beautiful.
It was a great interview and a great lady. We want to thank you for watching our premiere episode.
Yeah.
If you have a band, if you're a singer, you know bands, singers, shoot us dates and places, and we'll try to work it into our end of, podcast report. Also, if you've got an event or
Let
if
us know.
friends have got an event,
Yes.
big stuff, let us know. We'll try to work it into the beginning of the podcast.
All right. Well, thank you so much, you beautiful human beings, for joining us on the Arts Fam Podcast. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.